He was taking way too long in that bathroom. 20 minutes. 30. My stomach churned. The bathroom door had a small gap at the top, a construction defect we never fixed. My breathing quickened as I grabbed my phone. My hands trembled so badly I nearly dropped it. I turned on the camera, raised my arm as high as I could, and pointed it through the gap. What I saw on that screen destroyed 15 years of my life in seconds. He was in the shower, water cascading down his body, his phone propped on the bathroom windowsill. Video call. With her. And I heard perfectly when he said, in that soft voice he once used with me, "Baby, I love you so much. I love you, I love you." My entire body froze. My legs buckled. I had to grab the wall to keep from collapsing right there. My name is Amanda Rivera. I'm 43 years old. I'm a mother, I'm divorced, I'm a survivor. And this is my story. I grew up in East Los Angeles, in a neighborhood where every house held an immigration story. My family came from Mexico when my parents were young, chasing that American dream that promises everything but charges the price in sweat and sacrifice. We didn't have luxuries. Clothes came from thrift stores, toys came from yard sales. But what we lacked in money, we had in abundance in love. Our house was small, but behind it, in a little corner of the yard, stood my grandmother's casita. That woman was my entire world. Her house smelled of fresh tortillas, strong coffee brewing on the stove, and that cheap rose perfume she wore every single day. The walls were decorated with Catholic saint images and yellowed photos of family back in the village in Jalisco. Abuela Elena had wrinkled hands, spotted by the California sun from years working in the fields picking strawberries, but they were the softest hands when they touched my face. She taught me to cook while telling stories of the village where she was born. She showed me how to work the masa for tamales, how to feel when the consistency was just right, how to season with that special touch only grandmothers know. She let me dig through her old drawers, full of treasures, colorful plastic necklaces, cracked mirrors, red lipsticks she only wore on Sundays for Mass. Evenings were my favorite time. We'd sit together on her worn-out couch, covered with a crocheted blanket she'd made herself, watching Mexican telenovelas on the small TV. She'd translate the Spanish parts I didn't understand, laughing at the dramatic scenes, crying during the sad parts. I'd lean my head on her shoulder, feeling that deep security only a grandmother's presence can give. When the clock struck 9 at night, my father's voice would echo from the back door. "Amanda, time to come home." I'd pout, drag my feet, beg for 5 more minutes. Abuela Elena would smile, kiss my forehead and whisper, "Go, mija. You'll come back tomorrow." And I always did. I'm the middle child of 3. My older sister, Jennifer, was always the brave one. She'd stand up to our father, fight for her rights, break rules. My younger brother, David, was the protected one, everyone's favorite. And me? I was the calm one, the responsible one, the one who solved everyone's problems. While other girls my age played outside until dark, I was inside helping my mom fold mountains of laundry, wash dishes, take care of David. My Aunt Rosa, my mom's younger sister, always asked for my help. When her husband worked night shifts as a security guard at a warehouse, she'd ask me to sleep over. I was 12, 13 years old, and I'd be responsible for helping with my 3 little cousins, changing diapers, preparing bottles, reading bedtime stories. Looking back now, I realize I was far too young for that responsibility, but at the time, I felt grown up, important, needed. People always describe me as quiet. Amanda never causes trouble, neighbors and teachers would say. So well-behaved, so obedient, and I was. I swallowed tears, buried fears, hid pain. I learned early that keeping the peace mattered more than expressing what I felt. That pattern would follow me through life and nearly destroy me. My father, Roberto, worked in construction. He was a contractor, had his own small construction company with a beat-up pickup truck and a crew of workers who came from the same village in Mexico he did. He'd leave when it was still dark and return after sunset, hands calloused, cement on his boots, back aching. My mother, Patricia, worked for years in a garment factory in downtown LA's fashion district, sewing clothes she could never afford to buy. But when David was born, she stopped working outside the home. 3 kids were too much to juggle with 12-hour factory shifts. Instead of staying idle, my mom took over all the administrative work for my dad's construction business. She paid the subcontractors, organized invoices, went to Wells Fargo, negotiated payment terms with suppliers, dealt with the accountant, and I was her shadow. By 14, I already knew how to fill out checks, create Excel spreadsheets, organize receipts in accordion folders. Always write everything down, mija, she'd repeat while recording numbers in a notebook. Paper doesn't lie. Paper doesn't forget. Keep everything. That advice would save my life years later. In my teenage years, I was painfully shy around boys. Very shy. While my friends had boyfriends, kissing behind the gym after school, I'd turn red just talking to guys. I had my first boyfriend at 16, almost 17. It lasted 3 months. My dad found out, didn't approve, gave him the cold shoulder until the boy vanished. After that, I had a few more crushes, but nothing serious. I could count them on one hand. It was at community college that I met Marcus Chen. Marcus was the type of guy everyone liked. Tall, easy smile, always cracking jokes, always with a funny story to tell. He worked part-time at Foot Locker in the mall to pay for his classes. That impressed me. While other guys our age worried about video games and parties, Marcus woke up at 5 a.m. to open the store before classes. We became friends first. Real friends. The kind who talk about everything. He'd tell me about annoying customers at the store. I'd complain about difficult classes. We'd share French fries in the food court, study together in the college library. He was funny, light, made my days feel less heavy. When I broke up with that boyfriend my dad hated, Marcus was the one who consoled me. I'd call his house crying, and he'd stay on the phone for hours listening. Once he got sick, had to get his tonsils removed. I visited him at the hospital, brought ice cream because it was the only thing he could eat. I sat on the edge of his hospital bed, spooning vanilla ice cream into his mouth while he complained about the pain. As friends, just friends. But time passed, and the friendship shifted. Glances lingered longer. Hugs lasted longer. Our hands would accidentally touch when we walked through the parking lot. I noticed he wanted something more, and I decided to give it a chance. He was cute, yes. Expressive brown eyes, a smile that lit up his whole face. But what really attracted me was that responsibility, the maturity to work and study at the same time, the determination to build something with his own hands. I thought it was a sign of character. How wrong I was. We started dating in late 1999. I was 19. He was 20. That kind of young relationship where you don't know where it's going, but you keep going, keep dreaming, keep building castles in the sand. I'd already started working, got an internship at a small credit union. Then, a position at a private university with an amazing benefit. On top of salary, they paid my full tuition. It was a blessing. I could get my bachelor's in business administration without paying a cent. My money was mine. I could save, spend, help at home. Marcus transferred from community college to a state university. He got an internship at a tech startup, but it paid barely anything, hardly covered his textbooks and tuition. He'd go to work without money to eat lunch. My heart ached seeing that. I had a meal plan at the university. I started calling him to have lunch with me every day at the campus cafeteria. I'd use my meal credits. He'd eat for free. On days he couldn't come, I'd order Subway or Chipotle and send it via Uber Eats to his office. One winter day, one of those rare cold days in LA that catches everyone off guard, he showed up at his internship without a proper jacket for the office. My heart squeezed imagining him cold all day. During lunch break, I rushed to Ross Dress for Less, bought a gray blazer on sale, and had it delivered to him with a post-it note. Stay warm. The look of surprise and gratitude on his face was worth every penny. I took care of him, naturally, without expecting anything in return. I thought it was love. Now I know it was me always putting others before myself. Our relationship continued. He'd come to my house, met my whole family. My dad was somewhat standoffish with him, that father with daughter jealousy thing. But my mom liked him. Abuela Elena adored him. He'd help at family cookouts, grill carne asada with my dad, play with David. He was putting down roots in my life. His mother, Gloria, was intense. She talked a mile a minute, knew everyone in the neighborhood, had an opinion about everything. I never felt much warmth from her. She wasn't affectionate, not even with her own kids. I witnessed some ugly family fights, her feuding with her brother, on bad terms with her sister-in-law, gossip flying back and forth. But I figured it wasn't my problem. When I'd go to her house for Sunday dinner, I'd avoid eating much. The food was bland, no sazon. I think she noticed. Marcus ate way more at my house, where my mom and Abuela Elena cooked with love, with that seasoning-only Latin food made with care has. He'd always say, "Damn, Amanda, your family can really cook." The years passed. We graduated, me with a bachelor's in business administration, him in computer science. I got a great job at a major American bank. Good salary, excellent benefits, health insurance, dental, vision, 401k match. Marcus also moved up in his career, got a position as a junior developer at a tech company. We started saving money. I was disciplined, tracked every penny in my Mint app, saved religiously in my savings account. He was saving too. We talked about getting married, having our own place, building a life together. In 2008, we decided. 9 years together. It was time. We went to K Jewelers at the mall, picked out engagement rings. We started looking at apartments. At first, we looked in Culver City and Santa Monica, close to our jobs, but I didn't feel comfortable there. It was too far from my mom, too far from Abuela Elena. That tightness in my chest every time we visited properties. One day, driving back from yet another disappointing open house, we saw a construction site near Echo Park. Brand new apartment buildings going up. "Let's check it out," I suggested. We walked into the sales office and fell in love. New apartments, granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, price that fit our budget with an FHA loan. We bought it, signed the contract, made the down payment. I worked at a bank, so I got an employee discount on the mortgage rate. Everything worked out. We were ecstatic. We brought our parents to see the model unit. Everyone was excited, happy, dreaming with us. Now came the wedding. I'd always dreamed of getting married in church. White dress, veil, big celebration. I wanted that perfect day you see in movies, and I made it happen exactly like that. We set the date for January 2008. Reception with 350 guests at a banquet hall. Sounds crazy, but it was our enormous family. Cousins, uncles, and aunts, childhood friends, co-workers from both sides. I rented a wedding dress from a bridal boutique, got the full package. Hair, makeup, nails. I wanted to feel like a princess for one day. The cake was ordered from a famous Mexican baker Abuela Elena knew. A massive 3-tier cake, weighing over 30 pounds. So big it needed 2 delivery guys to transport it. We kept it hidden and used a fake cake for photos. The wedding was on a hot Saturday in January. Blue sky, California sun shining. I got married at the Catholic church where I'd had my first communion. My cousins living in different states, Texas, Nevada, Arizona, all came. The whole family gathered. The reception was beautiful at the banquet hall, decorated with lights and flowers. The DJ played salsa, cumbia, reggaeton. Everyone danced, ate, drank, partied until 3 a.m. I don't regret anything about that day. It was my dream come true. I have the photos, the videos, the memories. Even knowing how everything would end, I wouldn't change that day. The next day, there was a cookout at my parents' house. Carne asada, family together again. But when we went to our apartment that night, we realized we forgot the key. Nobody had a key. We had to go back to my mom's house, still with the wedding dress in the car, to get the spare key. We got there and the party was still going, people still eating, drinking, celebrating. It was funny and embarrassing at the same time. The next day, I went back in yoga pants to finish packing my suitcase. We were flying out for our honeymoon that night. We went to Cancun, Mexico. Beautiful beach, all-inclusive resort. A whole week, just the 2 of us. It was wonderful. Romance, peace, that feeling of a new life beginning. We came back and dove into routine. Me working at the bank, him at the tech company. We split all bills 50-50. Everything. Absolutely everything. Mortgage. We were still paying the old rent while the new place was being built. Utilities, internet, groceries. 50-50. I tracked everything in my budgeting app. Every penny recorded. It's funny that sometimes I see the old statements saved in my Google Drive. I open them and see the spreadsheets. Marcus, $450. Amanda, $450. Month after month, year after year. Everything divided, everything fair. Or so I thought. The years went by. We had friends, went out to dinner, traveled during vacations. We even traveled to Europe once. Paris and Rome. It was incredible. But everyone started with that social pressure. When are you having kids? When's the baby coming? 5 years married and nothing. I didn't feel ready to be a mother yet. I was 31, but it seemed like I was never prepared. Is anyone ever truly ready? I got pregnant in 2013. It wasn't planned. I wasn't taking birth control pills because I had horrible migraines. I'd tried several types and they all made the headaches worse. I even had my wisdom teeth removed because the dentist said they might be causing migraines. I tried everything, but the headaches continued. I discovered the pregnancy on a Sunday. Marcus's uncle had passed away, and he went to help organize the funeral arrangements. The aunt was quite simple, didn't know how to handle paperwork. Meanwhile, I started feeling a strange pain in my back. A different pain, persistent. My period was 3 days late, but 3 days wasn't that big a deal, right? Even so, something told me to go to the hospital. I went alone to urgent care. Marcus was busy with his family. I arrived, explained the symptoms. The doctor asked, "Is there any chance you could be pregnant?" My heart raced. Maybe. I don't know. Let's do a blood test before I prescribe anything. I sat in the waiting room with that sinking feeling in my stomach. Hands sweating. Mind racing. What if? It can't be. But what if? The doctor called me back with a smile. "Congratulations. You're pregnant." I broke down in tears. Right there, in front of her. "Why are you crying? You're an adult. You're married. This is a blessing." But for me, it was a shock. I wasn't prepared. I hadn't planned this. I didn't know if I could handle it. I went home in tears. Marcus was in the bedroom lying down watching TV. When I told him, he jumped out of bed, hugged me, spun me around. He was thrilled. He immediately called his mom. Gloria screamed with joy on the other end. It was her first grandchild. Marcus called my mom. She cried with emotion. He started calling everyone. Friends, family. That same day, everyone came to our house to celebrate. And there I was, still in shock, still processing. Everyone celebrating around me. The pregnancy was smooth. No morning sickness, no complications. My only craving was limes. I'd suck on limes all day long. Ice water with lime was my obsession. I had water retention toward the end, swollen feet, but nothing serious according to my OBGYN. There was one episode that marked me. On New Year's Eve, we had a fight. I don't remember exactly why. Surely it was something small. Probably about him not helping with household chores or about him playing video games too much. That drove me crazy. We had plans to spend the New Year at a friend's house party. After the fight, I said I wasn't going anymore. He simply went alone. I spent New Year's Eve alone. Pregnant. Crying. He went, and I stayed. I cried so much. So much. When he came back in the early morning, I was a little better physically but emotionally destroyed. I felt so awful that I asked him to take me to the hospital. He did. They checked on the baby. Everything was okay. We went home. He apologized. I thought everything was resolved. That was in January. In April, our son was born. I decorated the baby's nursery exactly how I wanted. I've always loved crafts. I made the party favors, decorated the hospital door, always with so much care, so much love, so much attention to detail. On April 9th, 2013, my son was born. Natural birth, just as I wanted. I wanted to experience unmedicated delivery. It was intense, it was difficult, but it was exactly as I'd imagined. It was 2 days before Marcus's birthday. They almost shared the same birthday. What a celebration at the hospital. With natural birth, you never know what time the baby will be born. I arrived at the hospital around 5 in the morning with regular contractions. He was born at 5:30 in the afternoon. All those people in the waiting room. He was born. I went to the recovery room. Super exhausted. When they took me to the room and I saw that crowd in the hallway, I closed my eyes. So many people. I look horrible, all sweaty, hair a mess. When the nurse put me in the room, I asked, "Can I have a comb? I need to fix my hair." She laughed and gave me one. I got to the room, but the baby didn't. He was in the nursery getting his newborn tests. Visiting hours had already passed. That day, nobody saw the baby. They only saw me. They could only see the baby the next day. My friends from the bank, so many people came. My family, too. The arrival of my son was wonderful. It's a new learning experience. Babies don't come with instruction manuals. We went home. The first few days I cried a little. I had baby blues. Totally normal according to all the parenting books I'd read. Will I be able to handle this? I didn't have help from anyone. By my choice. I've always been independent, like to handle my own things. I had trouble with breastfeeding because my nipples got damaged. Even so, I didn't give up. I remember Marcus seeing my suffering, everything cracked and bleeding. I'd cry every time the baby latched. It felt like knives stabbing. Just give up. Buy formula, he'd say. No, I can do this. And I did. My son breastfed until he was 8 months old. He was a super good baby, never had colic. Slept through the night from the beginning. At 6 months, he went to daycare because I returned to work at the bank. When my son was born, I noticed something shift in Marcus regarding finances. He became obsessed. Now we had this huge responsibility, a human being depending on us. And we didn't have enough emergency savings. He started studying investments obsessively. And I encouraged him because, in my mind, if he's doing well, I'm doing well too. And our family is doing well. The way I could help him was by encouraging, go study, take those online courses. First, he did a professional certificate program at a university extension. I fully supported it. My son was about to turn 2. Marcus traveled for 2 weeks for an intensive in-person program. I stayed alone with a toddler. It was difficult, but manageable. Then he wanted to do an MBA part-time. It was once a week in the evenings and some Saturdays. I completely supported it. But that meant many birthday parties for my son's little friends alone. Many weekends alone while he was in class or studying. Where's Marcus? He's studying for his MBA. Oh, always studying, huh? The other moms would comment. And there I was. Yeah, always studying. He started studying about the stock market, investments, crypto. Super cool. He began giving financial advice to our friends. I have, because they're still my friends, a couple who frequented our house a lot. They're my son's godparents. Marcus would talk a lot with them about investments, stocks, crypto, real estate. He was obsessed. We managed to improve our financial situation. The money started growing. But that thing I mentioned about splitting bills, he started earning much more than me. Promotion after promotion at the tech company. His salary almost tripled in 5 years. But the fact that he earned more didn't mean I paid less. I kept splitting 50-50. The bill would arrive. Even though he was earning 3 times more than me, I had to pay 50%. Mortgage, utilities, groceries, daycare, everything 50-50. It's only fair, he'd say. He saved much more money because we were splitting bills, but he was earning much more. One thing I want to emphasize. He never paid for anything for me. When we traveled, I paid my share. I bought my own things, got my nails done with my money, hair salon with my money, groceries for our house, I bought with my benefits from the company. I had a better grocery stipend than he did. He never even paid for my food. Never. He'd even comment on my benefits. Your benefits package is so good. The health insurance, we had 2 because he had one through the tech company, and I had one through the bank. But he used mine because it covered more, had a better network, including Cedars-Sinai. He'd tell our friends about it. I use her insurance. It even covers Cedars. He used it all right. Everything was fine. I took really good care of him. I'd take him to the dermatologist for checkups. He started showing a little hair loss. Male pattern baldness beginning. Let's see a specialist. I even remember they teased him because the doctor recommended those laser caps. He got home. I'm not using that. Looks ridiculous. I'd take him to a nutritionist because he'd gained weight. Let's go together. He went. Started doing meal prep. And who made it? Me. I'd prepare the meal prep containers. Everything organized in the fridge. I'd even taken an online course in organizing because I enjoyed it. The clothes were all arranged, color-coordinated in the closets. His, mine, our son's. Closets always impeccable thanks to my organizing obsession. Food, since he always complimented my cooking, and I love to cook. I'd leave everything organized in the freezer. Open the freezer, choose what you want to eat. I had proteins, vegetables, complete meals. Just thaw and eat. We lived in a relatively small apartment, 700 square feet. Our family had grown. We dreamed of living somewhere bigger. A bigger bedroom for our son. A bigger master bedroom. A home office space to work from. An outdoor patio to have cookouts with friends, which was what we loved most. Next to our building, there was an old warehouse they demolished. We saw they were going to build luxury apartment buildings there. We stayed in that anticipation, always checking the developer's website. When they launched pre-sales, we went on the first Saturday. We were golden buyers, as the realtor called us. We were among the first. Marcus negotiated, negotiated, negotiated. He managed to arrange a payment plan, locked in a good interest rate. We sold our apartment. In the same complex where we lived, we rented another unit until the new one was ready. Then the pandemic hit. Oh my God, now what? Everyone's stuck inside. Pandemic lockdown. Thank God the apartment we were in was a bit bigger than ours. It had an extra bedroom that became a home office. I started working from home full-time. He did too. Our son doing virtual school. I want to make this very clear. Marcus was always a very good father to our son. Very good. He was very involved in his life, took great care, did many things with him. He'd take him for haircuts, to parks, to play dates. We traveled a lot as a family. There was a dude ranch in the California interior we'd go to. My son loved that place. Horseback riding, petting zoo. We'd spend long weekends there. The pandemic arrived. We started working from home. It was challenging, but everything worked out. We got along really well. I'm not going to say there's a perfect couple that never fights. Our arguments were always about the same things. Him not helping with household chores and him playing video games excessively. Sometimes he'd play too much. It bothered me because I also wanted attention. Even though we got along well, it felt like the gaming computer and I were competing. Sometimes I had the feeling the computer was winning. He really was gaming. I could see. The office door stayed open. Nothing was hidden. But it irritated me deeply. I wanted to throw that computer out the window. I worked full-time, and on top of that, I had household chores when the workday ended. I wanted him to also have that awareness. She's working too, let me help. The few times he helped, which were rare, it was because I asked or because we'd had an argument. He was that type of guy. When the toilet paper roll runs out, the empty cardboard just stays there. Sometimes he'd put a new roll on top of the empty one, wouldn't remove the old one. That irritated me so much, so much, so much. Talking about my son, Marcus was super present in his life, always was. He'd take him to school because his work was more flexible. Work from home most of the time. He'd get our son ready for school, comb his hair. Every Thursday night he'd play soccer with the dads from the elementary school where our son studied. My son would go too. This was when my son was already 7 years old. After that soccer game, they'd get together to grab dinner. The other dad's kids would be there too. It was fine. We'd hang out with those families, have cookouts on other days too. Everything was fine. I remember him saying, "Man, so-and-so is always complaining about his wife. She's so annoying." And what's his name also complains about his wife. Everyone's wife was annoying. He'd comment on this and I asked, "What do you say about me?" "Nothing. You're chill. You're cool. That's good, right?" I am chill. I didn't nag him. There were never trust issues. Not on my part, not on his. Our phones. He knew my passcode. I knew his. He'd leave WhatsApp logged in on the computer. Sometimes I'd see it because it was there. I'd use the computer. It was open. In the dad's group chat, there were tons of inappropriate memes, random hot girl pics. But that never bothered me because they were random things. Locker room talk. I never saw him doing anything suspicious. Never saw anything concerning. Life went on. Pandemic, all that. We had a cleaning lady who came once a week. It was a bit more manageable. But even so, I liked to cook. That part was mine. We continued. The new apartment building under construction. We'd track the construction progress online. We were doing well financially. Both of us working good jobs with raises. Let's hire an interior designer for our apartment. We prepared for that. We bought the apartment thinking about it. Making everything nice. Everything fitting perfectly. We hired this designer. She created everything of our dreams. Everything beautiful. Everything impeccable. Custom built-ins. Gorgeous finishes. We saw those 3D renderings during video calls. Everything so pretty. My son chose the theme for his room. The sweetest thing. One time, in March or April 2022, we had a video meeting with the designer to talk about finishes. I noticed Marcus was being a bit rude to me during the call. It seemed like only he wanted to talk. He'd interrupt me, dismiss my ideas. I thought that was such bad manners in front of a professional. I didn't say anything during the Zoom. Afterward, I said, "That was really disrespectful." But anyway, it was a little before March 2022. Because in March 2022, I was laid off from the bank where I worked. I'd been at that bank for 17 years. When I went to tell him, I cried. He said, "Don't worry. Don't be upset. He was super supportive. He saw it was very stressful for me too. Quite exhausting. He said, "We're good financially. We have savings. We can handle things until you find a new job. Take a break. Now we'll really travel." We actually had plans to travel to New York. Take a trip. That made me feel super secure. Thank God he's supporting me. I'd been splitting all bills with him. Okay. I received my severance package from the company. Things with the apartment moving forward, the construction. My dad works in construction, so Marcus hired my dad to do some custom work too. It was a way to help my dad too. Let him earn extra money. My dad was super excited about the project. That renovation that seems like it'll never end. Money just going and going. We stayed in that anticipation. Every moment something new. Choosing flooring, this, that, and the other. In December, the apartment was ready. Beautiful. It turned out beautiful. 2022, it was ready. That's when I told him, my money is gone now. From March to December, I maintained myself as if I were still working, splitting bills because I still had money from severance and savings. I said, my money's gone. Starting next month, you have to pay everything alone. I don't have half of anything anymore. Christmas came. A week before Christmas, he said he had to go to a company holiday party. He only worked from home, mostly. He'd go every Wednesday to the company for morning meetings. After lunch, he'd already be home. And he really did go because he'd bring back the snacks and candies he'd grab from the office for our son. Okay, there's a holiday party. End of year. Okay. He went to that party, came back. The next day we went out. Me, him, and our son. I smelled something inside the car. A perfume. Women's perfume. What perfume is this? Today I say this because today it makes sense to me. At that moment, I wasn't suspicious of anything. He said, a bunch of people rode in here yesterday. I gave people rides home. It passed. I didn't think much of it. Okay. Christmas passed. We spent it at my parents' house. We were super tired because we'd just done the move, putting everything in place, organizing everything. I was very exhausted. New Year's Eve. Let's do New Year's at our place. I invited my parents, his parents. My sister Jennifer came, my niece. I organized everything. He did a barbecue on the new grill. We were breaking it in. Grilled with my dad. We celebrated New Year's. The next day, we went to lunch at another couple's house, our friends. I remember there, talking, he said to a friend, family is everything to me. My family is everything. Recently, I think 2 years before, his brother had gotten divorced. Marcus criticized that brother to a point you can't imagine. Judged him hard. Didn't agree with anything the guy did. What he did is unforgivable, man. How could he do that to his family? He was indignant. And I thought that was wonderful. Because if he was indignant about infidelity, he'd never do the same thing, right? New Year's passed. We got home. I wanted to call some friends to come over. I don't want people over. Okay. We were going to travel, like January 1st, on the 10th. We were going to travel to that dude ranch we always went to. We'd arranged for 2 other couples with kids to come too. I noticed him acting strange, kinda quiet with me, not talking. He said, this weekend there's a system deployment at work. I have to go in Saturday afternoon. Okay. I think it was January 6th. He went, worked, came home exhausted. The next day we went to my mom's house for lunch. I found it strange that he got so dressed up to go to my mom's. He dressed up in a way that I was like, I'm embarrassed. I look like a slob. I told him, let me change too, because the way you're dressed, I was going to my mom's in yoga pants and a hoodie, you know. He was in nice jeans, a button-up shirt, cologne. We got to my mom's, had lunch. He said, I'm going to stop by my mom's. He didn't like visiting his mom. Detail. Whenever we'd go to my mom's, who lived near his mom's house, he never wanted to stop by his mom's. My mom is annoying, he'd say. His mom could be intrusive sometimes. Example. When my son was born and I was trying to breastfeed, she came into the room, stuck her finger next to my nipple. He's choking. Put her hand there. She was very inappropriate. That day he said, I'm going to my mom's. You and Ethan aren't coming. Why not? Because I need to have a talk with her. Her rental property, I can't deal with it anymore. His mom had a condo she rented out. She'd always call Marcus to fix things. Plumbing issues, tenant complaints. I'm going to tell her I can't keep helping. You guys stay here. Okay. God is just... About 20 minutes passed. His mom, unknowingly, not knowing anything, called our house. She had a lot of contact with my mom. Marcus left to come here. He didn't arrive yet? No, he's not here. I started texting him. No response. Okay. He got to her house. I don't think he stayed even 5 minutes. Came back. Said he was stopped at a police checkpoint. Got stuck there. Okay. Came back. I went to my mom's house to get a suitcase because we were going to travel. He went upstairs to help along with my sister. He complained to Jennifer that he couldn't stand me anymore, that I was unbearable, that he felt like returning me to my mom. I only found out about this later. Anyway, got home. He had that coldness. Wouldn't talk properly anymore. Wouldn't speak. What's going on? You don't talk to me anymore. Days passed. I had a doctor's appointment one morning. I think it was a Monday. Went to that appointment. Man, I thought he was unbearable. Didn't know what was happening. At the doctor's building, there was a Starbucks downstairs. Today I have a therapy appointment. I'll do my therapy from here. I'm not going home right now. I've had enough. In therapy, talking with my therapist, I don't know what's going on with Marcus. He's being really cold. I can't stand it. He doesn't talk to me. I don't know what's happening. I told her about the situation. Went home. That day when I got back, I confronted him. Dude, what's happening? I don't understand. You don't talk to me, you're distant. He said, you really want to know what's going on? Yes. Then I'll tell you. I'm done. You don't appreciate me. You don't desire me. I'm not interested in continuing anymore. Detail. It had been 15 days since we'd moved into the apartment. If you don't change, I'm leaving. I don't want this anymore. My world, the floor opened up beneath me. What do you mean? Where are you getting this from? What's happening? It didn't make sense. He threw all the blame on me. That trip. Then we're not going. You choose. I thought about it. It's better we go because our friends are already going. It's already paid for. Maybe we're tired, stressed. Okay. We packed. Went on the trip. On the trip, he acted normal. Said he loved me, that he was crazy about me. Thank God. I think he had a breakdown. It passed. We stayed there, enjoyed time with our friends. Came back. Good trip. Already on the drive back home, he went mute again. That thing where the person seems miles away. I'd try to make conversation. He wouldn't talk. Okay. Got home. Our wedding anniversary was coming up. He didn't change. On our wedding anniversary, I asked my mother-in-law to take our son to stay with her, so we could try to do something nice, because he'd said the problem was with me, that I didn't appreciate him, didn't desire him. Today, let's do something different. Let's go out for dinner. Okay. Our son left. I wanted to go somewhere nice. Where do you want to go? I said. Wherever you want, I'm good. Because if we're good together, the place doesn't matter. We make the place. He said, let's just stay around here. We went for a walk in a park near our house. There was food at home, like always. We had dinner. He started talking to me about divorce. He didn't forget. He'd say, how are you going to manage if I leave? What's your plan? I'll help you. I'll teach you about investments. I'll help with our son. I'll help with bills. We'll split things. Where are you getting this from? Why do you want to do this? I don't understand. It won't work. I see you tried, but it won't. After that day, it was all downhill. My money had run out. The transformation happened. After the anniversary, he said, there's another company event. He made a point of showing me. Here, look at the invite. There'll be international clients. I have to attend. When someone makes too much effort to show something. Another thing that caught my attention, he started dressing up more. Started wanting to wear his watches. The batteries had been dead for ages. He went to fix the watches, get dressed up. Another thing, he used to jog, right? Jogging at night around the neighborhood. He started taking much longer. If it was an hour before, it started taking 2. I found that weird. After the anniversary, he'd made it clear there was no solution, that he'd already made his decision. I didn't know why. I'd pressure him. Is there someone? Are you seeing someone else? No, I swear. There's no one. There's no one. It's not possible that a person we spent so much money on this place, who wanted this so badly, and now out of nowhere started all this. Something's going on. I thought he was having a midlife crisis. I even made a doctor's appointment for him, but he didn't have any problem. He didn't even go to the appointment. I think he laughed at me. He knew everything he was doing. The only one who didn't know was me. I started telling my mom, telling his mom, telling our friends. I didn't understand what was happening. My world was ending, and I didn't understand. Always protecting our son. After that day when he said he was going to separate for real, then you have to tell our son. He didn't think twice. We were sitting on the couch. He stood up. Our son was in his room playing. He grabbed our son, put a chair in front of us. He told our son, "We're separating." I said, "We're not. You are separating. I'm not. You made that decision." Our son went into panic mode, started crying. That destroyed me, seeing my son cry. There was a photo of my son on the fridge with Santa. He stood up to tear that photo apart. My son was devastated. That day passed. There was another system deployment to do on the weekend. He said it would be during the early morning hours. You know, the cell signal doesn't work because it's inside the server room. Okay. I was already starting to get suspicious of him. My dad was at our house that day. It was a Saturday. It was a week after our anniversary. My dad was there because a leak appeared. We didn't know where it was coming from in the AC. My dad went to check. Marcus went to get dressed to go to work. Supposedly. I saw him hide a backpack. But I found it. Inside the backpack where he kept the laptop, I found an extra shirt, $500 in cash, a contact lens case with lenses inside, a travel-sized toothbrush. I saw it hidden. Didn't say I saw it, but I saw. My gut was telling me, there's a woman. When he was leaving, my parents were still there. "Mom, I'll walk him to the door." I walked him to the building entrance. He was getting an Uber to the company. He was cold with me, distant, showed no emotion. He left. He'd said, "I'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. It'll go until 4 p.m. the next day." This was Saturday, noon. I made lunch. He ate, got dressed, left. I felt terrible. It was horrible for me. That night I went out with our son to grab dinner. He called very briefly to say hi to our son on voice call. The signal doesn't work, not sure when I can call again. What caught my attention? Him giving the exact time it would finish. Usually when it's a work issue, you don't know the exact time. The next day, 4 p.m. sharp arrived. His phone was off. I sent messages. Nothing. The next day he arrived. Arrived with a look like he'd had fun. I could tell he'd had a good time. He came back super tired, but that satisfied tired, not work tired. He went to take a shower. Lay down. I saw his shirt full of glitter, makeup stains. I didn't confront him. I looked at the backpack. The money wasn't there anymore. The shirt he'd taken wasn't there either. I went to lie down with him for a bit. It was afternoon. I wanted to talk. He was super rude, saying he was tired, that he'd worked all night. He was super harsh, because he didn't want me near him. After that, another thing that caught my attention. You don't have to wash my clothes anymore. He'd never run the laundry, but I think it was a guilty conscience. I'm doing something wrong. She's still washing my clothes. He wanted to learn how to use the washing machine, how to put in detergent, the quantities. He wanted to learn to make some food he didn't know how to make. I told him, "Look, I never washed your clothes out of obligation. Everything I did for you until now was always out of love. It wasn't an obligation. It was because we're a couple. After that, it was all downhill." He started saying there were more events at the company. "On such and such day, I have an event. Don't know what time I'll be back. There'll be international executives." That day, I was already feeling really bad. His mom was with me too. I called him. Didn't answer. Didn't answer. Didn't answer. He sent a text to our son. "Daddy won't be home tonight." Didn't come home. Men, I don't know if it's a characteristic. It seems like when they're doing wrong things, they start leaving many tracks. We had an old iPhone at home, a device we used for banking apps. Inside that phone was his Instagram, his email, his Waze app with location history. I accessed his email. Didn't have anything, supposedly, because I saw a folder. I decided to go into that folder. I found a receipt for a ring bought in cash on January 5th. Remember that on January 6th he went to work? On January 5th, he bought a ring at Tiffany & Co. Paid cash. I saw that his Waze history showed a city in the California interior that had nothing to do with his company. I went into his Instagram, started looking. He didn't follow many people. Very few. I checked them one by one. When I looked at one, I said, "It's her." I don't know why. It's her. I started looking at her stories. When I saw one person's stories, I saw a champagne toast. Just a toast. And I saw his hand. If the person has nothing to hide, why does only a hand appear? I recognized his hand. The jeans he was wearing. The shirt. I called him. Didn't answer. I started getting worried because he'd said he wouldn't be back. Didn't answer. I was desperate with his mom. He doesn't answer his phone. Where is he? I even called his brother. Look, he left yesterday. Said he was going to an event, but he doesn't answer his phone. I stayed up all night. Couldn't sleep at all. The next day, I took our son to school. He was going to arrive in the afternoon. The city was far. Registered on ways there in the interior, far away. He said, "I drank too much. Went to sleep at a hotel. That's why I didn't come home. Leave me alone. I'm not married to you anymore. Just humiliation." He said he didn't owe me any explanation, that we were already separated. I'm leaving. The situation became unsustainable inside the house. He wouldn't give me any explanation about anything. He'd leave. One day, he arrived with a real estate agent to take photos of our apartment and already list it for sale. What do you mean? We're selling already? To split everything? Me, with that anguish, that horrible feeling. I had a course to take. That day, I went to do the course, but my head wasn't in the course. I couldn't focus. I had the option to do it from home. The next day, I decided to do the course at home. He went into the bathroom and didn't come out. Our bathroom door had a small gap at the top. I thought, I'm going to see what he's doing. I turned my phone around, turned on the camera. He was in the shower with her. Video call. Inside my house. Saying he loved her. I love you. I love you. I love you. I have everything I'm saying here recorded. I have proof. Because I started recording things. He'd call me crazy. Where are you getting this from? There's no one. But I was crazy, right? When he came out of the bathroom, did you enjoy your shower? He didn't say anything. What do you mean? I don't owe you anything. Funny thing, on my bathroom door, my pink bathrobe was hanging. He put the phone on the window ledge. She could see him and could see my robe hanging there. Whatever. There was no other option. He left. Decided. Rented an apartment. He was very cold. The day he left, he packed his things. Put everything important inside suitcases. Clothes, colognes, laptop, bottles, wines he'd bought. He'd developed a taste for wine. I don't know from where. He took the glasses I'd given him. I'd given him a set of whiskey glasses on Father's Day. BBQ utensils set. A nice kit. He took that. He grabbed everything important. Clothes, colognes, BBQ kit, wines, drinks, the car. He left. He came up to me. Can I still give you a hug? He had the nerve to say, can I hug you? My son? I protected my son so much. Never had arguments in front of him. I wanted to protect him as much as possible. That day when he came into the room, can I hug you? I didn't even answer. I stayed lying on my bed. Remember? The day, if I'm not mistaken. February 3rd. Very quick. It was very quick. I think it was February 3rd. The same way he came into my room. He went into our son's room. I'm leaving. He told our son. He left. He left. He left. I didn't know what to do anymore. Who I was. Because he put me in such a vulnerable situation. I'd left my job. I wasn't working. Detail. During that period, before he left, remember he supported me? Stay calm. We're good financially. He started pressuring me to get a job. You need to get work now. You need to work. Help me. Help me fix my LinkedIn, do stuff. You don't know how to fix your LinkedIn. What's happening? He said I didn't want to grow in life, that I wasn't ambitious. You never wanted to do anything. But dude, everything you are today, everything you have was because I supported you. It was because way back, when you didn't have money to eat, I shared with you. He didn't help me at all. Didn't fix my LinkedIn. Just put me down. He said I had no ambition, never wanted to grow. As if I wanted to stay stagnant. As if I'd only had that option. And I chose to be like that. He put me down completely. He left. From time to time, he'd still show up at the house. Because he had a key. He'd go see our son. But he'd just go in. I started taking our son to a therapist to understand everything that was happening. Our son was already starting to cry. His understanding was dawning. Our son had some insights, remembering some things. He said, "Mom, remember my dad used to jog? A few days ago I went jogging with him. He ran into a friend of his on the street near our house. She was with her daughter. We went into the ice cream shop. He told me he went to school with her when he was a kid, but I don't know who she is." Wow, Ethan, who could it be? And I was thinking, it's her, it's her, it's her. He still came to the house. I had hope that his conscience would hit, that he was making wrong choices. On one of those visits, he said, "Let's go to your mom's. I want to go there." We went, me, him, and our son to my mom's. Everyone was very sad, because he'd told my mom he considered her more than his own mother, that he had more respect for my mom. They had such a strong relationship with my dad, too. Before we moved, a few days before, he turned to my dad and said, "Old man, get ready because I'm going to buy another apartment, and you're going to renovate it the same way." Okay. We got to my mom's house. My mom made coffee. Wasn't understanding what was happening. Neither was I. My dad came. He said some things there that I don't remember, and then he said, "Yeah, I'm not dating one woman. I'm dating 5 women." He said that to me, to my dad, to my mom. Our son was sitting there too. My niece was there too. It's not one I'm going out with. It's 5. Anyway, I don't even remember what my dad said, if anything. Then we went to his mom's house. I don't know what the point was of him doing that to us. And I was so out of myself. I wasn't understanding anything that was happening. He dropped us at home. It was going to be carnival weekend. He said, "I'm going to work all carnival." He was still giving me a bit of explanation. And I said, "Then I'm going to the beach and I'll use the car." He deposited money in my account. I went to the beach with a friend and her husband, their kids. We stayed there. It was the worst trip I ever made, you know, because I just cried. My son was so sad too. My son would stare into nothing. I felt his pain, and I didn't have anything I could do to remove that feeling. I was suffering twice, my suffering and my son's suffering. Carnival passed, which was horrible. Going back home was horrible. Walking into that house that had been so desired and at the same time was destroyed in so little time. My son would go to school and I'd stay home crying. I was just deteriorating. Horrible. I found out there really was this person. I found out because a colleague of mine had a fake Instagram account, and she went into this woman's Instagram and she saw some posts. She posted during Carnival when he said he was going to work. He stayed here in LA with her because he knew I wasn't here. They went to the Ferris wheel at Santa Monica Pier. He didn't appear in the photos, but his hand appeared, his watch, and she posted something like, "My love." I thought, my love. But it's already like that in such a short time. I started seeing various other things. The ring. Remember the ring? I went to research it on Tiffany by the code. Found the photo of the ring. I saw the ring on her finger. I remember one day I showed him a photo I had. It had her and I think 4 other friends. I said, "Which one is she?" Because I didn't know until then. And he said, "It's one of them." He said it like, "It's one of them." But I won't tell you which one. I found out it was her because my son told me. It was this one I saw at the ice cream shop. This is my dad's friend who was at the ice cream parlor. So think about it. She lived in Riverside County, in the interior, and I live in LA. What are the chances she just happened to be on my street, at that ice cream shop? It wasn't a coincidence. He called her that day to come to the street to meet my son. She saw where he lived. She saw the car he had. Our apartment too. I think that also made her eyes shine. He started living a life he never had. On that phone I mentioned we had at home, in the Google searches, I found him searching how to live luxury lifestyle, something like that. He only had searches for top restaurants in LA. He was only going to top places. I had to run around looking for a lawyer because he wanted me to use the same lawyer as him. Of course I wouldn't. At first I was falling for everything he was spinning. Until one day, before he left the house, we were going to pick up our son. He was already talking about divorce. You know where he went to talk about our divorce? At the bar on the corner of our house, having beers with a lawyer. That's when my awareness hit. I said, "I can't have the same lawyer as him. Look how he's treating our divorce. Having beers with a lawyer. How can I trust that?" I went looking for a lawyer. The first one didn't work out either. Talking with my therapist, telling her everything. She said, "I have a good lawyer. He'll help you." He wasn't from LA, but could do everything online. That's when he came into the picture. Because despite everything he did to me, he didn't have the courage to actually file for divorce. The only thing he did was file for visitation, regularize visitation. He didn't file for divorce, didn't regularize child support. And meanwhile, I was at home with a credit card I had as an additional cardholder on his account, which he left me with a limit of $900 per month. The grocery card he had, I think, was around $400. Detail 2. Our apartment was new. We lived there together. I think we stayed just 1 month living together. We were still paying for furniture, the glass panels for the balcony. I was paying with checks because the companies didn't accept cards. It had to be checks. The checks started clearing in my account, and my account didn't have the balance because all our money. Remember he studied investments? Remember I supported him, that I trusted my entire life to him because we'd been together so many years. All our money was under his control. I didn't have access to anything. I'd say, deposit money in my account because I don't have it to cover it. The limit's already been hit, and if another check clears, it'll bounce. And I'm looking for work. If my name gets ruined, that can hurt me too. He didn't respond. I started panicking. That's when I talked to his mom. I said, look, can you put money in my account? Loan it to me because Marcus isn't depositing and it's going to hurt me. She said, ask for a loan at the bank. If you want help, ask your dad. But she didn't help me. I thought, how am I going to ask for a loan at a bank if I'm not working? I might be able to get it because I had a good credit score. But the next month the payment would be there. She didn't loan me money. That limitation, that suffering, all that anguish. A friend of mine loaned me some money. A cousin also loaned me some. Until I filed for child support. That's very quick. I got child support for our son, which helped a little. It wasn't what saved me. And then there was that fight, because I didn't have access to the investment statements. The apartment doesn't sell overnight, especially an apartment like ours. And I think many things contributed. That pressure started. What did he start doing to me? He started reducing the credit card limit. When I started receiving child support, he put the card limit at $600. $600. I still used it to pay for parking. I remember I parked and thought, let's see how much is left. I went to the grocery store with the card he'd left there. You know those benefits companies give? It was declined because he'd blocked the card. Only with child support. All that pressure. Every month, checks bouncing because he didn't pay. He didn't pay the phone bill. Didn't pay internet. Didn't pay the gas bill. Didn't pay anything. Everything in my name arriving. Until I had an idea about the gas. I said, well, if he's not paying, I'll transfer the gas bill back to his name. I went to see how. I just had to send a copy of his ID through the app, and I sent it. I put it in his name. The bill started going to him. You know what he did? He cut the gas. He cut the gas from the house. It was noon. I was using the stove. That day, I'd taken a shower early. I was using the stove. Suddenly, the gas stopped, but I always had my little meals prepared frozen. What did I do? Keep calm. Breathe deeply. Heated our son's food for him to go to school. Didn't say anything to him. I called the gas company to ask for reinstallation. With gas, it's not like electricity where they turn it on quickly. Look, it's tomorrow only. Today we can't. My God. When our son got home, there was no gas to give him a bath. I had to heat water in the microwave, but I gave him a bath. I managed. The next day, the TV stopped. My son said, Mom, it's not working. I already imagined. Didn't pay the bill. Cut it. Always having to deal with all these situations. It kept going like that. Those cruelties appearing more and more. I was already sure it was this woman. It was late March. He told our son, Daddy's going to travel for work. The phone might not work where I'll be. Our son's birthday was coming up. He asked if we wanted to do something. Our son wanted a small party just for friends. Our son's birthday fell on a Sunday. On Saturday, he showed up at the house. I stayed in my room. I'd already shown my mother-in-law who she was. She said, No, he's not with anyone. Where are you getting that from? She fell for his story too. I was crazy. He stayed at home, arrived, talked with our son in the living room. I didn't leave my room. He came to my room to ask how I was. I was weighing 110 pounds. I'd lost so much weight. He asked how I was. I barely responded. He said, Let's go buy some meat. I'll make BBQ on the grill we have. I went. While I went to the supermarket, my son told me later, after he left, Dad was going through everything inside your closet. I don't know what he wanted to find. He grilled meat for our son. I thought that being there, I thought something had happened, that he wanted to come back. I said, "Look, I'll leave so you can spend time with him. It's been a while since you've seen each other. He misses you." My son, before that, every night he'd sleep hugging the photo album he had. He'd cry at night. He even wet the bed because this affected his emotions so much. Something he'd never done, not even when he was a baby. He made the BBQ, stayed at home. I left. I remember I went to the church door to give thanks. But the truth is, I think God always listens to what will actually make sense for us. I came back home. He was sitting in the living room with our son. I made coffee. I had a cup of coffee, gave him a cup. I went to my room again to leave them alone together. Our son went to take a shower. He came into my room. He lay down. I was lying on the bed, leaning against the headboard. He lay next to me. He started hugging me. He kissed me. He said, "I miss you so much. I miss your smell. I miss you." For me, that was, my God, the Lord heard my prayers. He's going to come back now. I know we stayed there. We ended up together that day. I said, "Thank God." I remember he got his shirt dirty. I saw he got kind of desperate about it. He wanted to wash it, dry it. I said, "But you have another shirt here. Put it on and go." He didn't want to. I remember he told me he missed me so much, that he was sorry, but that he didn't know if it would work if he came back to me that day. It was on April 8th. He left. He said, "Tomorrow I'll come back in the morning to have breakfast with you guys because it was our son's birthday." For me, that day I felt great afterward. Wow, thank God he's coming back. The next day was also Easter. It fell together with Easter. I set up a table, breakfast for me, him, and our son. When the doorbell rang, it was him, his mom, and his dad together. They came in. My face. I didn't know where to hide because he didn't say he was bringing his mom. He pretended nothing had happened the previous day. I called him into the room. I said, "What was yesterday?" He said, "I don't know what you're talking about." I said, "What do you mean? And everything you said to me yesterday? I don't know what you're talking about." I called his mom into the room. I told her everything he'd done. She said, "No, he wouldn't do that to you. I can't imagine." I said, "But he did. I'm telling you, he did." She already knew he was going out with this woman. Remember, he told our son, "Daddy's going to travel and the phone might not work where I'll be." I found out he'd gone on vacation with her and her daughter days before to Tulum, Mexico, to an expensive resort. I understand he was the one who paid. How do I know he paid? Because later I got the credit card statements. My mother-in-law knew. She knew everything he was doing. It was our son's birthday. Our son was super emotional that day. Cried a lot. Didn't want to leave. I decided to make lunch because until then I was still hopeful. I sat at the table with Judas. Because my mother-in-law knew what he'd done. He knew what he did to me. And even so, they sat down to eat the food I prepared for them. That day, they took our son, went out with him, went to the mall. After that, they went to my mother-in-law's house to stay a bit longer. Our son said that when they got to his grandmother's house, he left. He said he was going to the bakery to eat. I thought, the bakery? Because the bakery there is terrible. I can't imagine him going there to order a plate. His grandmother hadn't cooked at home for him to eat? But no, he'd gone to the girl's house. How do I know? Her family lives near my mother-in-law's house. It was her grandmother's birthday. He went there to celebrate and left our son with his mom. Our son came home that day. I was even more destroyed because he really went all out with what he did to me that day. What I'm telling you, he was unfaithful to me, but he was also being unfaithful to his current girlfriend. On April 8th, when he was with me, when we were together, he left my house and went to hang out with her, because I also saw photos from that same day. After he left my house, he went to a bar with her. Her thinking her Prince Charming had just gone to spend time with his son that day. But no, he was there cheating on her with his ex-wife, which was me. That day passed. He never came back to talk to me about that subject. We got into a very big conflict. He tried to pick up our son. Our son was suffering so much. Didn't want to go with him. Always refused. Until one day he went with his mom there to try, because the grandmother could try to make the grandson go. Our son didn't want to go. He called his lawyer, who lived next door to where we lived, to try to help somehow. But our son didn't want to go. What they don't understand is the suffering our son was also going through. They thought everything our son was doing was because I was telling him to, that I was manipulating. At no point were they sensitive enough to understand that this child's family had ended, that all the dreams our son had wouldn't exist anymore. He also saw me suffering. "Oh, but you can't suffer in front of him." "What do you mean I can't? I leave the house and who's going to take care of him? You who don't show up here." Including when our son got sick, I called him. There was a situation and he said, "Call the police, call the firefighters, call whoever you want. Just don't call me." So he threw all the responsibility for our son completely onto me. That day he went there with his mom. The boy wouldn't come down. The lawyer came. They called the police. It was a whole mess at the house door. In the end, the decision they made: take him by force. They put our son by force into the car. Our son went crying. He spent the weekend with him. He didn't contact me to say, "Look, he's calmed down. He's okay." That was also the end for me. I remember I felt so bad that weekend knowing our son was suffering. I tried to talk to him. He didn't answer his phone, didn't respond to any call from me, not a single message. He was losing his bond with our son, because I think he was in this vibe of wanting to enjoy being the gentleman, the Prince Charming of this woman. I saw in the credit card statements everything he never gave me because I never needed it, because I always worked to have everything I wanted. If I wanted to buy shoes, I bought them. If I wanted to buy jewelry, I bought it. My food, I bought it. He never gave me a single grain of rice, but he saw everything I did, everything I used, the products I used. What was his reference for doing this for her? My reference. He had Sephora, had MAC, had everything I used. It was there. He went to fancy restaurants with her. Nobu, Mastro's. Ever heard of them? The credit card statements came like this: Tiffany, 28K, 30K, 32K, 25K. And me without even $1. Not even $1. I couldn't do anything, because child support. Oh, but you have child support. Child support was to pay for our son's school and for us to eat. Otherwise, I couldn't do anything else. There were days our son would ask for things I couldn't give him. His mom thinking he was giving me a lot, because I remember I'd tell her I needed things. She'd say, "No, he's giving you stuff," but he wasn't. We got to a very complicated situation. I couldn't get a job because of my psychological state, too. One day I went to an interview. It was going well in the interview until the woman asked about family. I started crying in the interview. How am I going to talk about family if my house is falling apart? I couldn't hold myself together no matter how much I wanted to. It was difficult, but I kept going. Going back a bit, I remembered a detail from my childhood. We didn't have many toys, but we had some because they were expensive back then. The toys I wanted were Star Wars collectibles. I was fascinated. I loved collectibles so much, but I didn't have any. I got my first Star Wars collectible when I was 12. Dream of my life. I still have it today. There was a thrift store near our house. Whenever I'd leave school, I'd walk by the window of that thrift store to look. They had collectibles there. I'd say, "Man, how beautiful. What a dream." I started working. One time I went to the thrift store to buy something. The collectibles were still there, stuck on the shelf. I bought them. I bought my collectibles. I realized my dream. It was my happiness. They stayed stored in boxes. I'd open them and appreciate them. It was the most beautiful thing. I got a job. Thank God I got work. But I still had issues with our son needing so much care. He was so bad. He got hospitalized because of all his suffering. He started taking medication too, to reduce anxiety, to help with everything. Everything you can imagine I did for him. I started working. I got into the company. But every day I'd arrive late to pick him up from school. I'd leave at 6. It was there on Wilshire Boulevard. It's not that far, but there's traffic. Public transportation didn't help at all. I'd arrive late every day to pick him up. He was in that anxiety thing. My mom. Is my mom not coming? Is my mom going to leave me here too? The company too. The atmosphere there wasn't very good. I needed to work, but it wasn't helping. It was hurting more than helping. I had to make a decision. I said, I'll need to leave for my own good and for Ethan's good. I left. That was August. Children's Day was coming up. I said, what am I going to do on Children's Day for this boy? He wanted a PlayStation. He was going to get a PlayStation on the Christmas that passed, but we couldn't buy it because it was sold out. Marcus even went out to buy it. I researched. It wasn't available anywhere. It had just launched. We couldn't find it. We gave him other things. Everything was okay. Children's Day was coming. I said, "What am I going to give this boy if I don't have $1 and I'm not working?" My dad said, "Buy it. I'll pay." I said, "No, I'm not doing that." I remembered the collectibles. I remembered my Star Wars collectibles that were already collectible items. I listed my collectibles. I sold my collectibles. 3 collectibles I sold. I think each was $1,900. He saw me preparing my collectibles. He said, "But you love your collectibles. You're selling them." I said, "I'm going to because it doesn't matter. I've already had them for a long time." I bought the video game for him with the collectibles. He didn't know. I couldn't wait for Children's Day. The box arrived. I bought gold wrapping paper. I wrapped it. It was a Friday, I remember, because Friday was our junk food day. I call it the day to eat fast food, eat pizza. I ordered McDonald's. It arrived. I said, "Go down and get the food. Today I'm not going." When he went down, I put the box right under the TV. When he came back, he saw that box. He said, "What's that?" I said, "It's for you." When he opened it, I have the video recorded because I left my phone recording. That boy cried so much, so much. He was so emotional, so happy. He hugged me, kissed me. It was so gratifying that even being in such a bad situation, such a horrible time in my life, I could find solutions for things. Even though his dad had all our money, even though his dad was offering, there were vacations before that. His dad came and said, "Choose where you want to go. Tell me where you want to go and we'll go." He said, "I don't want to go anywhere." He wanted to stay with me. I said, "But son, I won't be able to take you on trips, to travel. Your dad can." He said, "But I don't want to go. I want to stay with you." We went to the park every day. Every day we went to the park. I'd bring a towel for us to have a picnic. I'd bring juice, bring cupcakes. We'd sit there. Time was passing. We were watching the crazy life his dad was living, the exorbitant expenses he had on his credit card, the parties he went to, because that colleague of mine had access. He posted. He made sure to start posting things he'd never done, and praise this woman, say she was empowered. That was destroying me. Time was passing. We were in that situation without money, without being able to do things, until the divorce finally came through, made the division. But when he agreed to do it, we came to an agreement. He made an imposition. "You need to leave the apartment. The apartment needs to stay empty." It hadn't sold yet. I wasn't working. I said, "My God, what am I going to do?" I had no other option because I needed to have access to the money to be able to move forward with my life. I said, "Well, division is always like this." Since he never showed me the investment statements for us to do the 50-50 accounting, I had to give up. I said, "Okay, what you're proposing gives me enough to move forward with my life. Okay, but I'm sure it wasn't 50%. That's very clear to me." When I got access to the money, he said, "You have 30 days to leave the house." I said, "Damn, I'll have to look for another place. How am I going to prove to someone renting an apartment that I'll pay if I'm not working?" Thank God my dad was able to be my guarantor. I rented an apartment. I was going to take some things we had to bring there, but I had to pay him half for them. He even charged me half of our son's bed. Our son's bed. I had to pay 50% of the bed's value to be able to take it, but I paid. I took it. I took the bed, took the fridge, took the microwave, the washing machine, and my bed. That's all I took. But I had to pay him for everything. I moved into an apartment that didn't even have closets. Less than a year ago, I'd paid thousands and thousands of dollars to furnish an entire house. I was moving into a house that had nothing. No closets, no table, no place to put the TV. Nothing. I had to figure it out. I was arranging things. I arranged it somehow. It was a place I didn't like. I didn't feel comfortable there, but it was the only place I could get. I always thought, it's temporary. It's temporary. Always asking God to help me, to give me strength to continue. Thank God I got work. I got work. It was very special because it was right around Christmas time. I think it was a gift for me because I didn't expect it. We think no company will hire during the holidays. I was hired. I was hired after 1 year. I left the apartment where we lived in 2023. I spent all of 2024 in that struggle of intensive treatment with our son, psychologist, psychiatrist, therapy. He was hospitalized. I was also rebuilding myself, studying. Everything he said to me about not being ambitious, about not wanting to grow, I was rescuing myself. With help from college friends I was reconnecting with. I realized everything he said to me wasn't about me. It was about him, as if he were looking in the mirror and talking about himself. It's not about me. It's about him. With help from this friend, she said, "Amanda, I think you have so much potential. I have a degree in business administration." She teaches at a community college. She said, "Come give a talk to my students." I said, "Me give a talk?" She said, "Yes. Go. I'll go." I gave a talk about professional development to community college students. It was super good. After that, she called me, "Now let's do a workshop somewhere else. This one's paid." I did a workshop that was super successful. She said, "Now I have another challenge for you. The program coordinator is writing a book and wants co-authors for this book. I want you to write a chapter." I said, "That's really difficult. I don't know if..." She said, "You'll be able to do it." Yes. I'm a co-author of a book about business administration. There was a book launch. The most important person in my life was there watching. My son. I'd look at him. He'd clap for me, send hearts. It was the most beautiful thing. I feel so proud of myself because even not having money is very important because it brings dignity. I knew how to deal with all situations. I knew how to make good use of everything too. Going back to talk a bit about the cruelty. I told you about the expenses he had on his credit card that were exorbitant. On the card where I was an additional card holder, I subscribed to LinkedIn Premium to look for work. I remember one time he said, "You think I'm obligated to pay for your luxuries?" I thought, LinkedIn. Since when is that a luxury? Dude, do you realize that I shared my lunch with you? That on a cold day, it was me who gave you a blanket? That I sustained this house so you could study abroad, so you could go do your MBA? What good were all your degrees? Nothing. For you to be this empty person. With nothing. His money, I never saw it. Never. He was never a person to give jewelry. Sure. Give a shirt. Give shoes occasionally. Okay. But to delight me. Restaurants when we'd go, afterward I'd worry if it was too expensive. I'd have to pay half. So many times I must have, "Oh no, let's not go," because I knew I'd have to pay half. Or how many trips I wanted to take. He'd say, "I don't have money." I'd go and pay for it. I feel very proud of myself for having, even in pain, run after my goals. Never let go of my son's hand for a single moment. We're a strong partnership. I love him passionately. I got work at the end of 2024. The answer came. I took many courses, invested a lot in myself, invested in my personal image too, because when I look at my old images, I was a person who didn't take care of myself. I didn't wear bigger earrings. Everything small because it didn't cause trouble, because I was always busy with the house. I had laundry to wash, laundry to iron, food to make, a son to take care of. I used everything that made things easier. I didn't wear makeup. T-shirts always. Today I take care of myself. I see I didn't have time for myself because I dedicated 100% to the family. But I don't regret anything I did. Nothing. One time I ran into him inside our apartment where he made me leave. The apartment stayed closed almost a year without anyone living there. He made me go to a rental with our son to satisfy his ego because he knew I wasn't working. What did he want to do to me? Always corner me. Always back me into a corner. Like, the more I corner her, let's see how far she'll go. Let's squeeze her to see how far she goes. What I find most interesting about this, behind it all was a lawyer who was our friend. More his, because he was nothing to me. He considered this guy a friend. I think, dude, this guy has a son the same age as our son. Is this what he'd do to his wife too? There was a situation I'm remembering now, when we were still there in 2023. Her sister called my cell phone to confront me, the sister of the woman he got. She said my marriage had already been over for a long time, that I didn't admit it. Like, who are you to be calling me saying that? You know how long I lived with him? What is this guy saying to this family? Listen, I think the day I really have a person I find interesting to be part of my life. If I find out she has kids, and those kids don't live with him, I'm going to find that very strange. Something's wrong there, because our son's father went 2.5 years without having access to our son, because he said our son wouldn't go with him, that I wouldn't let him, that I'd hide him. Everything was me, but not because of the things he did, not because he got a woman, not because he betrayed me, not because he took a shower on video call inside my house. He doesn't know. That's not the reason. The reason our family ended isn't the reason our son doesn't want to see him. The fact that our son knows the woman he took to the ice cream shop to meet him is the woman he got. None of that for him was a reason for our son not to want to see him. The reason was always me. I was the one who wouldn't let him. I was the bad one. I was the one manipulating. I was the one doing parental alienation. I was the crazy one. But I was so crazy, to the point where he trusted and left our son with me to take care of him. Then I'm no longer crazy. Okay then. That's very curious. Okay. I thank him today for the fact that our son lived all that time with me, because time doesn't come back. Time we can't buy to come back and live all that. Each day our son says, I want to stay with you. I thank God. That has no price for me. Nobody can pay for that. But the day I find someone, if that someone has a problem with his ex, calls his ex crazy, that his ex is crazy, she made hell in his life, I'll be suspicious. Because I know what I went through. I know everything he did to us. Everything affects me a lot, because today I'm very different from everything when it happened. Maybe back then I couldn't tell anything here, because I just cried. I was desperate. Because when I got married, I married believing it would be forever. I swore before God it would be forever. I saw my parents married, being together to this day. So my idea of family is that it's happy forever. It's okay to be like that too. But when you go through this, it's very difficult, because it's not just a dream that ended. Friends change too. Many people approached me just out of curiosity to know what was happening. I don't know if just to know or to learn something, but they distanced themselves. I'm telling you that 90% of the friends I had, I don't have any more today. I think the ones who stayed, those are truly friends. So all of that hurts. There are moments too. There are places we go that make us have many memories. There are smells that make us have memories. There are songs that make us have memories. But I think God is very just, that He'll always make things very right, that maybe He saw these things that for me weren't so harmful. He said, I need to remove this person from this, because she doesn't deserve to go through this, and that He has much better things for me. I have no doubt about that He has better things for me. So much so that the fact I overcame, that I did things people underestimated I'd never be able to do. I did. I know I'll do more because I keep fighting for all of this. I know I have a very strong force inside my house that pushes me to leave every day and fight for everything I still want to do. I've already done wonderful things with my son. We traveled abroad. It was an adventure for me because everything we do for the first time after a divorce is very challenging, because when we're together, we know we have that partnership there. But when I decided to do this, I had that excitement. But when I got inside the airport, I said, my God, what did I go and invent? I said, I'm with a being who depends 100% on me here. We went to friend's house, his godparents who now live abroad. After that, we went to New York too, which was the most wonderful thing I did with him, taking him to places I'd gone when I was pregnant. When I got pregnant, I had a trip already planned. I didn't even know I was going to get pregnant. I took him exactly to the places where I took photos. The belly didn't even show yet. But I said, I have this photo here. You were inside my belly. Let's take a photo here again. It was wonderful. It gave me butterflies, but I managed. He'll remember that for the rest of his life, I'm sure. I told him, I'm coming here with you. I want to take many more trips with you. We're already planning other trips, but I also want to come here with my grandkids, because I want to be that grandma who picks up the grandkids and goes to the mall, takes them to school, goes traveling. I want to come here with your family too, because I'm sure it'll be wonderful. You'll have many good memories of mine. He's rebuilding with his dad now. I notice there are still some little things. I don't know if it'll be something that'll come back to being like it was before, because many things broke. There's a lot of hurt. I don't know if one day he'll be able to sit and talk man to man with his dad about this. There's still not really much intimacy. The connection is kind of loose. The plug isn't fitting very well. I never put our son against his dad. On the contrary, I always encouraged, go stay with your dad. Even because until the time I was without access to money, I said, I can't give you what he can. Even so, he didn't want to go. Always talking. He wouldn't answer the phone because his dad would send messages. He didn't want to respond. Didn't answer. Same thing he did with his grandmother. I think the grandmother issue was because of the police episode. His grandmother even says I assaulted her because she pushed me on the day I wanted to protect him from getting into the car. But she says I pushed her, but I didn't. I think what's missing is a bit of empathy. He suffered a lot, and there was a lack of that care, of not looking at his pain, of understanding, of giving comfort. I always encouraged. So much so that now during this year's vacation I encouraged more. I said, "Look, I don't have vacation now to travel with you. Talk to your dad. Arrange something. Go out with him." But he thinks when I say that, he says, "You're discarding me." He thinks I'm pushing him to his dad, that I don't want to be with him. But that's not it. It's because I'm sure his dad is important to him. It won't change. There's no such thing as ex-dad, ex-mom, ex-brother. Family is family forever, regardless of whether we like it or not. What happened? I see now he's trying to get closer to his dad. He's going out a bit more. There are weekends he stays. There are Thursdays he goes to play soccer with his dad like he used to. I'm always encouraging, trying, reminding, do such and such thing. But there are days there's not much conversation, that it doesn't help to want to talk about this subject. He stays mute. I simply talk. He stays mute. Doesn't give much engagement. Today I'm working, studying, with many plans still to be achieved. I'm sure I'll succeed, because I prove to myself that I'm capable. Nobody can tell anyone you're not capable because that capability is inside each one of us. You just have to want it. You just have to want to leave that place. You move and make all of this happen. How did I manage this? With God's strength. I clung very much to God. My son is proof of that. He knows how much I prayed, how much I sought God. Exercises. I went after exercises even not wanting to do them. I went because it helps our mind so much. Therapy I was already doing before all this happened. I think that helped me a lot. If it weren't for therapy, my God, I don't know what would have become of me. It's a place where I can take all my complaints, where I can get direction too. My family was also very important in the whole context. In the most difficult moments they were there. My dad, my mom, my aunt, my friends too, those who really stayed. They extended their hand. They're still here. I'm sure everything is a matter of time for things to fall into place. When all this started, I'd hear many women say, "Oh, it passes. It'll get better." I'd question, "It passes. Why is it taking so long to pass for me?" But it's because our time is different. Everything needs to be lived. Everything needs to be processed for everything to really fall into place, for everything to settle, for the dust to settle, to move forward with life. I want to leave this here. If there are more women in the same situation, cling to God. Cling to something you like to do. Even if you don't like it, insist on doing it, because us staying inside the house sitting, lying down, not wanting to do anything, I'm sure that won't lead anywhere. It won't work. If you're going through something similar or know someone who is, share this video, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications because this is a space of support. You're not alone. There are exits. There are ways. We can rebuild our lives. We're stronger than we think.